question on client readiness. So the question is, how do you manage client readiness? For example, a client who is new to coaching, has not done self-exploration before, kind of might be finding it a bit of a challenge, the coaching process.
It's just true. I think it depends a lot too if the client is told they have to be coached or if they are choosing to find coaching. In my experience, clients will come with a problem or there's something that's bugging them that they need to look at or want to look at. And I think a lot of people are surprised with the coaching process because the problem that we usually come with is an opening or a beginning point to explore other things that might be happening or coming up with in the client's life. So I've worked with a range with people in the executive world. I've worked with executives who were almost arguing against me in a weird way as coaching. They were told that they had to do this coaching thing. They bring me in there and then they say, it just was weird. I feel like I was like trying to prove the value of coaching to them as opposed to just coach. That's come up a couple times. It's not my favorite. I mean, obviously I don't know if it's anyone's favorite. So I think that comes up some, if that makes sense. I don't know, Roger, if you've had that experience as well.
Yeah, I have. I was also curious, I'll share in a minute about your experience because you've coached a lot of young people, and
Mm-hmm.
when you're coaching young people or students, and you ask them a question, they say, "I don't know."
Right.
How do you manage that?
Yeah. So my thing with client readiness, well, I'll finish the thing with the adult thing. So what I've done with that is I there's a certain point in time. It is actually Marshall Goldsmith. I was listening to in Dubai when he was one of the keynote speakers. This is 2014. And he said, "Look, a huge leap happened in his training, in his coaching practice when he said, I'm going to stop. Like, if I want to be a better coach, I need to get better clients." And it seems counterintuitive. All the coaches in the room were laughing. It was a coaching conference, and we're all chuckling to ourselves. But there's something to it, in that when you as a coach show up and say, "Look, if you're not ready for me, client, I know that yes, and believe me, I was financially month to month for years. I know what it's like to stare at a bank account and think, okay, something needs to come through in the next 2 weeks, or what are we gonna do? We're gonna have a plan B, maybe. I don't know." So it's hard. It's super hard sometimes, but there is a magic in letting clients know if this isn't for you, it's okay to let them go and to stop fighting for every single client, to try to hang on to every single client. And so in that space, in the executive world, when clients would say, "Look, I don't know if this is going to be good for me," I will say, "Look, great. This is what coaching is. This is how coaching works. But it's not for everyone. It's not for everything. And that's okay. I have let go of people and then or tried to fire clients, and it's not gone well because they say, "Are you dropping me? Are you're abandoning me? Like, this isn't." So there is a sensitivity to it. It's not like you can. I do think that there is a conversation that needs to be had about maybe this isn't the best relationship to keep working together. And if it's not, it's time to move. Working with students, young people, and I don't know. My general guideline was, we use core motivation, which is based on the Enneagram. If students have the self-awareness to know themselves enough to be able to work with that tool, then yes, I would work with them as a coach. The I don't know is, I have whole, 30 minutes. Like, I feel like we spend a whole 2-hour session on how to deal with young people saying, "I don't know," in the academic life coaching program. What it boils down to is this. One, young people have been conditioned to answer adults with "I don't know" because it keeps them safe. And the first real step in that is helping them feel safe and to get used to answering coaching type questions, which can happen. But it doesn't really happen by trying to force them to answer questions or be cute. Like, well, if you did know, what would the answer be? Stuff like that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I think you're making a really great point there, even thinking about tools. So I was thinking about execs because I, work with organizations, and often you get clients who can be put into a program and no one's really prepared them for why they're in the executive coaching piece, or it might not even be not that they're not invested at all, but they're not just used to any of that as well. So for me, I have to really think about, and I go on and on about the design the alliance, but what is it that we're going to have a look at in design the alliance? In my own business, I send an intake form that helps me to assess ahead of time that readiness. Questions like, have you worked with a coach before, or a mentor, or a consultant? Sometimes you have people who are in therapy as well as having coaching, so you can have that conversation. But it does help me a lot when I see on the intake form someone who's not had any coaching before. For me, with leaders, I might be asking what kind of leadership training or leadership development or emotional intelligence kind of work that they've done. Because in that world, I've learned that it really helps me to understand where they're at, because you're kind of meeting them at that baseline, aren't you? Meeting them where they're at. And it might be the first few weeks is we're still partnering, but I'm bringing in those tools earlier. Like I'm bringing in the core motivation very early up front with them, because one of the things we've identified together is that they haven't actually done work on themselves before. So it's almost self-awareness, emotional intelligence become goals in themselves of the coaching, as well as the other goals. Like they're the foundational goals for them to build off of. What do you think about that, John?
Yeah. I mean, that's really useful stuff. It really is, to get in there and to have those design the alliance moments, and to, I think there's a different feel when someone's told they have to coach versus when they're choosing coaching. And then sometimes they might not understand what exactly coaching is or isn't. And when I was first started in my coaching career, I would really try to swing for the fences, have huge, meaningful impact right away on my coaching sessions. I don't think that's useful. The most useful way to go about it. I do think the most useful way is to, you have to meet them where they're at. If they're not used to this kind of work, if they're not used to being asked questions like this, it's okay to start small. It's okay to start easy and just do the wheel of life and do a couple of the easier tools and get them used to this kind of questions, and gentle and yeah,